Energy spike.
Launch.
In the third age of mankind, an age plagued by an evil empire that seeks to destroy humanity, it is our last, best hope for peace. It is Babylon 5.
All fighter squadrons launch.
Get us out of here. Return fire.
Freeze them!
Watch Babylon 5.
Babylon 5 is available for download on your favorite torrent site. See it now to experience the greatest show in television history. Babylon 5.
Excellent Agent Sovryn. Welcome to Unimatrix Zero.
Thanks, computer. So, Ryan, looks like we have the whole place to ourselves.
We do, actually. Did you have something in mind to do?
Well, this is virtual reality. I thought maybe we could.
Pixel, you look. I love VR.
Come here, Brian. Oh, fuck yes.
The climax.
It is time for the climax. Woo! I love these new intros. Boy, if you haven't heard, go back to like episode 148 and back if you hadn't heard the ones previous. Because damn, they're always so good. Anyway, and I make them myself, and I'm amazed at myself. Well, not entirely by myself, of course. I have just amazing women that help me out with it. I'm so happy for them. Anyway, oh boy, I just got to look. Someone just gave me quite the look. I love it. All right. Anyway, so I want to real quick. We kind of have a shortened climax here, and of course, the climax is where I could talk about anything. I talk about movie, TV show, product, or a topic. And this week, it certainly is a topic. And someone wrote in. I'm going to read this email. I could have done this for listener, for important messages, but I decided, what the hell, let's do it right here. And it's, hey, Brian, the other night on Free Talk Live, which is a show that actually I co-hosted for 2 years, Mark and Ian they're the main hosts of the show, got into discussing, again, the use of the word anarchy/anarchist and whether it is worth using it over, say, libertarian or voluntarist. I understand the reasoning behind why they feel it is not useful, which is the common misconception of the word being the biggest reason, stallion breaking in, meaning like that people think of it as, Molotov cocktail throwing, black clothes wearing, well, we do wear the black clothes, but or at least some of us do anyway. And more people actually have said they started wearing triple black because of me, and I'm honored by that. And of course, it's historical relevance to anarchism. It's not just me. But I usually disagree. However, Ian said something along the lines, I'm reading the email here. Ian said something along the lines of people ruling themselves in a free society versus having no rulers at all. I thought that kind of made sense. Since anarchy means no rulers, and in a free society, people would really be ruling themselves, does that mean anarchy really isn't the word to describe a free society? I really don't want to let it go, but that point kind of has me thinking about it a lot. Curious how you would respond if you were in that conversation. Thanks, Stallion. So this is... I'm going to also answer kind of a long time question that I've had on this show, because a lot of people wonder, because sometimes I speak, it's like, well, you don't like the word capitalism. And it's kind of under the same auspices that, the word capitalism is an insult to market ideals, created by Karl Marx himself. So it's not meant to be a positive thing towards markets. It's meant to insult them. And I am definitely, fall under, if there's one term you can certainly apply to me, I am a market anarchist. But, as far as like the term anarchy, saying, well, you rule yourself. Oh boy, this gets into such a big topic. And I don't think initially when I read the email, I thought maybe Ian and Mark was saying it because I didn't listen to the episode that it was. Maybe they were saying something like, well, people will choose. They may want to choose people, that could rule over them. Like perhaps under anarchy, they would choose somebody who would be the head of the town and all this stuff. So how's that anarchy? Well, that wouldn't be anarchy, obviously, if there are. But if the idea is that you don't rule yourself. What I think is happening here is like no one ever had kind of the, you're having a mixing of languages. Okay. If we're going to get that fine tuned with the word anarchism, which the word anarchy does mean, it doesn't mean no rules. It means no rulers. Okay. If we're going to get that fine tuned, like the idea of rulers is, I mean, that's an English term that carries carries various connotations, as to where anarchism would, be more referencing, like, my point being is that in the Greek, the term rulers would even in and of itself take on a slightly different form that would be very clear on the fact that no other person could dominate, could control you. Okay. So like it'd be inherent in the word, as to where if you just do this like straight, Greek to English kind of thing, then it sounds like, yes. Okay. In English, the word ruler, means that you're ruling over yourself. And so, but if anarchy means that there's no rulers, then do you see what I mean? There's degrees of separation. You're losing something in the translation that the term anarchy makes it, or anarchia, perhaps, more accurately, makes it very clear that you're talking about somebody else. Not you. As to where, absolutely anarchy, maybe anarchy more, if one did a finer, not finer as in like finer point necessarily, but a more accurate translation, perhaps it would more mean self-sovereignty, which we use the word sovereign. Hell, that's my last name. Okay. We use the term sovereignty, not saying that we are kings over someone else, but that we are effectively, sovereigns over ourselves, and there's nothing wrong with that. But that in and of itself is saying that there is no domination outside of you. Okay. So I get the argument. It's a clever one, but it's something that is playing games with two completely different languages that, you're losing some data. There's a data stream missing. Okay. you couldn't get all the bits into the other word. That's kind of my response to that. Is that just the translation doesn't really work. So I think, I get it that anarchism, does carry a really negative connotation, but unlike capitalism, which also carries a very negative connotation, the negative connotation wasn't initially meant to be there. As to where with capitalism, it was meant to be negative from the get-go. Take the word libertarian. This is amazing. Libertarians, the original people that used the word libertarian were communists. If you go to Europe and you say libertarian, they think you mean communism. Okay, so I don't like using the word libertarian either, even though I will often use it for shorthand. Because my audience is largely US based, not entirely, but it's US based, and that has a meaning here, and people go for it and whatever. But I don't like to use the word libertarian. I'm not a communist. Why would I use that? So yeah, we can get into this argument, and maybe new words need to be made. And hey, I'm totally open. I had somebody, this was years ago. Somebody said, wow, Stallion, you got to come up with your own term for your ideology and all this. How about incendiarism? That's what they came up with. And like, no. I don't want my own ideology. This isn't a cult. Nobody needs to follow what I'm saying. Okay. I'm running a tech show here. Let's calm down. But it did raise, kind of a larger issue. I just noticed there's not a whole lot of actual anarchist voluntarist podcasts out there anymore that are absolutely no borders, no dealing in politics, even jury duty, none of that bullshit. That's becoming a very rare thing. So there aren't that many anarchists out there anyway, as far as what anarchism, full on entails, is that not even dealing with the rulers, as much as you don't have to, unless a gun is being pointed at your head for it. But I'm open to, like, voluntarism was a good word. Of course, the guy that originally came up with voluntarism specifically said that it means no voting whatsoever. But I challenge you to find a voluntarist that doesn't think, that says voting is a bad idea anymore. Most of them go ahead and vote and even run for fucking office. It's mind-boggling to me. So any word can get, can get taken over by perhaps elements that aren't going by its original meaning and all this stuff. Anarchism is a great word because it's so old, and it has such a long tradition, and most of that tradition really isn't violent. Most of it. And as far as like, some people ask me, well, where does your school of anarchism come from and all that? If you really want to get into that shit, adding stuff on, I guess the closest thing is I'd fall under maybe the egoist anarchist camp. Market anarchist, that's fine with me too, but whatever. You get into all this semantic stuff and it just gets crazy. Anarchism has a meaning. It's not a negative meaning. It was never a negative meaning. It was never initially used as an insult. So run with it. As to where all these other terms have either been co-opted or they were negative from the get-go. Why use them? Anyway, hope that answers the question. Carpe Lucem, everybody. I'll see you on the other side.
Experienced SovrynTech. Go to SovrynTech.com. That's SOVRYN Tech.com. And connect with us there. Find links from today's show and catch our podcast feed. SovrynTech is copy heart. Copying art is an act of love, and love is not subject to law. So please share the show however you like. Welcome to the evolution.